This story is something I never thought I'd tell, but it's true. Every gut-wrenching moment of it happened to me, orchestrated by my own blood. The gift felt wrong in my hands, too light for its size, wrapped in paper covered with smiling cartoon storks. It was the centerpiece of the gift table at my baby shower, placed there by my cousin Jessica with a flourish that made sure everyone saw. Now, with all eyes on me, she urged me to open hers first. I remember the weightless slide of the box as I lifted the lid, and the collective gasp from 50 women as I pulled out a single, tarnished silver rattle with a note tied to it in a perfect pink bow. My husband Liam's hand froze on my shoulder as I unfolded the paper and read the 6 words that set my world on fire. Maybe the real father can buy the rest. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The silence that fell over the rented event hall at the Addison Grove in Austin was heavier than any sound I'd ever heard. It was a thick, suffocating blanket of shock and secondhand shame. My mother's smile was frozen on her face, a grotesque mask of denial. Liam's hand, which had been resting on my swollen belly, tightened into a fist at his side. The rattle lay in my palm, cold and cheap. It felt like a dead thing. But my eyes were locked on Jessica. She stood near the mimosa bar, a perfect picture of feigned concern. Her hand was pressed to her chest, her brow furrowed, her lips parted in a silent, rehearsed, oh my. She looked like an actress playing the part of a caring cousin who had just stumbled upon a terrible secret, not the author of it. She wanted them to see her as the reluctant truth-teller, the one brave enough to expose the ugly reality I was supposedly hiding. It was a masterpiece of passive-aggressive theater, and I was the unwilling star. My Aunt Carol, Jessica's mother, was the first to move. She scurried to my side, her face a blotchy mess of confusion and anger. "Jessica, what is the meaning of this? Is this some kind of sick joke?" she hissed, her voice a low tremor. Jessica's eyes welled with perfectly formed tears. "I'm sorry, Auntie," she whispered, her voice carrying just enough for the closest tables to hear. I couldn't stand by and watch Liam be deceived. I overheard things. Chloe knows what she did. The accusation hung in the air, thick and poisonous. Chloe knows what she did. It was brilliant in its cruelty, turning my own mind against me. Suddenly, every late night I'd spent working on my freelance graphic design portfolio, every coffee meeting with a male client, every friendly chat with a neighbor was cast in a sinister new light. Jessica wasn't just accusing me of infidelity. She was rewriting my entire life into a sordid narrative of deceit, and she was doing it in front of everyone I loved. My friends from college, my co-workers, Liam's mother, they were all here, their faces a gallery of pity and suspicion. This pregnancy hadn't been easy. Liam and I had tried for 3 years. 3 years of clinical waiting rooms, heartbreaking negatives, and quiet, desperate hope. This baby was our miracle, the culmination of so much love and faith. And in one calculated move, Jessica had tainted it. She had smeared our joy with the ugliest of suggestions and branded me a liar. Liam was the one who broke the spell. He gently took the rattle from my hand and dropped it back in the box as if it were contaminated. He put his arm around me, a solid, unwavering wall against the sea of staring eyes. His voice was low, but it cut through the silence with the edge of cold steel. "Get out, Jessica." It wasn't a request. It was an order. "You and your mother, get out of here right now." Aunt Carol looked scandalized, but Jessica just held her head high, the sorrowful martyr. "I was only trying to protect you, Liam," she said, her voice dripping with counterfeit pity. "You deserve to know the truth." She turned, her long floral dress sweeping behind her, and walked out, her mother trailing in her wake like a confused shadow. The party was over. The carefully arranged fruit platters and pastel cupcakes suddenly looked obscene. Guests started murmuring excuses, avoiding my eyes as they gathered their purses and left, the air thick with unspoken questions. Within 15 minutes, the hall was empty except for me, Liam, and my shell-shocked mother, surrounded by a mountain of unopened gifts that now felt like monuments to my humiliation. I sat there, a single tear finally tracing a hot path down my cheek, staring at the box that had detonated my life. I didn't know it then, but this was only the beginning. This public execution was just the opening salvo in a war I didn't even know I was supposed to be fighting. The real battle would be fought not with whispers in a crowded room, but in the cold, unforgiving glare of the digital world where Jessica was queen. And she was just getting started. The drive home was silent. Liam drove, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, his jaw a hard, unforgiving line. I stared out the window at the rolling Texas hill country, the familiar landscape feeling alien and hostile. Every mile marker was a tick of a clock counting down to a conversation I didn't know how to have. The bomb Jessica had detonated at the shower wasn't just the note. It was the insidious seed of doubt she had planted. It was a poison designed to seep into the foundations of my marriage. When we got back to our small craftsman house in the Zilker neighborhood, the silence stretched, growing more oppressive with each passing second. I walked into the nursery we had so lovingly prepared. The soft gray walls, the hand-painted mural of woodland creatures, the crib Liam had spent a whole weekend assembling. It all felt like a stage set for a play that had been canceled. Finally, Liam came and stood in the doorway. His face was a mask of controlled fury, but beneath it, I saw something else that terrified me, a flicker of pain, of confusion. "Chloe," he began, his voice rough, "we need to talk about this. Not about her, not about the scene she made, but what she said. Chloe knows what she did. What did she mean?" I turned to face him, my heart fracturing. It wasn't an accusation, not yet, but the question was there. The poison was already working. "Liam, you can't possibly believe—" My voice broke. "You can't." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of pure frustration. "Of course I don't." But she put it out there. She made it real. "This isn't just some crazy outburst, Chloe. This is calculated. She's been building to this. I need to understand what ammunition she thinks she has. What can she possibly twist?" And as he spoke, the fog of my shock began to clear, replaced by a chilling clarity. He was right. This wasn't spontaneous. It was a planned attack. My mind started racing backward, sifting through the last few months, looking for the red flags I had so carelessly ignored. There was the lunch we'd had a month ago at Joe's Coffee on South Congress. Jessica had been asking strange questions, probing, all under the guise of cousinly concern. "Are you and Liam doing okay? Really okay?" she'd asked, stirring her latte with a thoughtful frown. "It's just, this baby changes things. It can put a strain on a marriage, especially when you've been through so much to get here." I'd brushed it off, assuring her we were stronger than ever. Then she'd steered the conversation to my past. "Do you ever hear from Mark anymore?" she'd asked casually, naming an ex-boyfriend I hadn't seen or spoken to in nearly a decade. "I just saw him on Facebook. He's living back in Austin, you know." At the time, it felt like idle gossip. Now it felt like reconnaissance. She was searching for a weak point, a name she could use, a fiction she could weave. Then there were the comments to other family members, little seeds of doubt planted in fertile ground. My sister called me a week later. "Hey, I had the weirdest call with Jessica," she'd said. "She was asking if you seemed stressed. Said you'd been distant and were spending a lot of time alone. I told her she was crazy. You were just tired from the pregnancy." I had laughed it off. Jessica, the drama queen. Now I saw it for what it was. She was laying the groundwork, creating a narrative of a troubled marriage and a secretive wife long before she ever delivered her knockout blow. She wasn't just spreading a rumor. She was building a case. Liam and I spent the rest of the evening piecing it together. He remembered a conversation with our uncle a few weeks back. "Jessica mentioned you were traveling a lot for work," our uncle had told him. Said she hoped Chloe wasn't getting too lonely. Every piece was a small, seemingly innocent comment that, when assembled, created a damning mosaic of lies. She had been poisoning the well for months, and we had been drinking from it, completely oblivious. The true depth of her campaign became clear the next morning. My phone, which had been blessedly silent, began to buzz with notifications. Jessica had posted on Instagram. Her profile, a curated utopia of sepia-toned family photos, motivational quotes, and sponsored posts for organic baby food, had over 80,000 followers. She was a momfluencer, a digital matriarch for a legion of devoted fans who hung on her every word about authentic living and the sanctity of family. Her post was a picture of her looking out a window, a single, artful tear on her cheek. The caption was a masterclass in manipulation. "Sometimes the hardest thing to do is tell the truth," it began. "Sometimes you have to risk being the villain to protect the people you love from being hurt. My heart is breaking today for my family. Please pray for us all as we navigate this difficult time." Our family first, truth and grace, heartbreak. There was no mention of me, no specific accusation. There didn't need to be. The 40 or so family members and mutual friends who had been at the shower knew exactly who and what she was talking about. For her 80,000 followers, it was a tantalizingly vague cry for sympathy. The comments flooded in. Sending you love, Jessica. Whatever it is, you're so brave for standing in your truth. Family drama is the worst. Stay strong, Mama. Praying for you. Your grace is an inspiration. She was controlling the narrative, painting herself as the tragic heroine. And then the DMs started. Veiled messages from her followers, strangers who now felt they had a stake in my life. I hope you do right by your husband. God doesn't bless a home built on lies. Your poor cousin looks so heartbroken. You should be ashamed. I was sitting on my bed, phone in hand, watching a stranger from Ohio pass judgment on my marriage when Liam walked in with 2 mugs of coffee. He saw the look on my face, set the mugs down, and took the phone from my hand. He read the post, his expression hardening with every word. He scrolled through the comments, then the DMs. When he finally looked up at me, the confusion was gone, replaced by a cold, hard fury I had never seen in him before. No, he said, his voice quiet but absolute. She's not going to do this to us. She's not going to be the one who tells our story. He handed the phone back to me. Block her? Block her mother. Block anyone who even likes that post. We're going dark. And in that moment, I felt a shift inside me. The tears, the hurt, the suffocating shame. It all began to recede, replaced by a slow-burning ember of rage. Jessica had brought this war to my doorstep, to my marriage, to my unborn child. She thought she had all the power, all the influence, all the plausible deniability in the world. She thought she had already won. She had no idea who she was dealing with. She had poked a bear who was about to become a mother, and I would burn her world to the ground to protect my family. The weeks that followed were a special kind of hell, a quiet, isolating siege. We followed Liam's directive. We went dark. We blocked Jessica, her mother, and a dozen other flying monkey relatives on every social media platform. We changed our numbers and gave the new ones only to a select few. We retreated into our home, creating a bunker against the storm Jessica had unleashed. But you can't completely shut out the world. The fallout seeped in through the cracks. Family get-togethers were canceled, the excuses flimsy and transparent. The weekly Sunday dinners at Liam's parents' house were suspended. His mom, bless her heart, was trying to shield us, but we knew it was because the family was fractured. A deep, ugly fissure had opened up, and people were choosing sides. Most chose Jessica. It made a sick kind of sense. Jessica was the family's golden girl, the one with the perfect online life and the massive following. She had spent years cultivating an image of unimpeachable wholesomeness. I, on the other hand, was quieter, more private. I had moved away for college and only returned to Austin a few years ago. To many of them, I was still an unknown quantity. Jessica's narrative, that I was a troubled woman with a secret past, deceiving my wonderful husband, was more dramatic, more compelling, and frankly, easier to believe than the complex, motiveless cruelty of the truth. Jessica held all the power. Her Instagram was her pulpit, and her followers were her congregation. She never mentioned me by name again, but she didn't have to. She posted about the power of forgiveness, the pain of betrayal, and the importance of fighting for family, even when they've lost their way. Each post was a new, subtle jab, a dog whistle to those in the know, and a source of inspiration for her clueless followers. "You are such a light, Jessica," they'd comment, teaching us all how to love through the pain. She was untouchable. We had no proof, only my word against hers. Her public performance was flawless. She even had a few brand deals that leaned into her new narrative. One was for a family counseling app, where she talked about the challenges of loving difficult family members. She was monetizing my destruction. The lowest point came about a month before my due date. It was a call from Liam's mother, Helen. She was a kind, gentle woman who adored Liam and had welcomed me into the family with open arms. Her voice on the phone was strained, full of a sorrow that made my blood run cold. "Chloe, dear," she started, and I could hear the tears she was trying to hold back. I need to ask you something, and I know I have no right, but it's eating me alive." I held my breath. "What is it, Helen?" This story Jessica is telling," she stammered. "I know it's nonsense. But she's so convincing. She told your Aunt Carol that she has proof. A text message or something. She's saying the father is an old boyfriend of yours. Liam doesn't deserve this. If there is any truth to it, even a small part, you have to tell him. My world tilted on its axis. Jessica had gotten to her. To Helen. The one person whose faith in me I had thought was absolute. The poison had seeped that far. I felt a wave of nausea so profound I had to sit down. My hand went to my belly, a protective, instinctual gesture. This wasn't about me anymore. It wasn't about my reputation or my hurt feelings. This was about the name and the legacy of my child. This lie would follow him, a shadow cast over his birth, a question mark hovering over his identity. It would poison his relationship with his own grandparents. Jessica hadn't just humiliated me. She was trying to steal my son's family from him before he was even born. I ended the call, my voice a dull monotone as I reassured Helen that she had nothing to worry about. But as I hung up, the last vestiges of my grief and helplessness were burned away by a white-hot, clarifying rage. The victim in me died in that moment. What was left was a mother who would do anything to protect her child. I walked into the living room where Liam was paying bills. He looked up, saw the expression on my face, and his own went pale. What's wrong? Is it the baby? The baby is fine, I said, my voice eerily calm. But we're not. My mother-in-law, your mother, just called me to gently ask if I cheated on you. Jessica is telling people she has proof. I saw the flicker of pain in his eyes again, the pain of knowing his own mother had doubted us, and it solidified my resolve into something as hard and sharp as diamond. I'm done hiding, Liam. I'm done letting her control this. She wants to play with fire? Fine, I'm going to build a pyre and I'm going to light it myself. She built her kingdom on a throne of lies and I'm going to kick it out from under her. She wants proof? I'm going to give her proof. Proof so absolute, so undeniable, that it will not only clear my name, it will obliterate hers. He stood up and came to me, taking my hands in his. He saw the shift in me, the new dangerous light in my eyes. He didn't question it. He didn't tell me to be the bigger person or to let it go. He just nodded. Okay, he said, his voice a low growl of pure protective instinct. What do we do? And just like that, we were no longer victims. We were a team. The war had been declared from the moment that rattle was placed in my hands, but it was in that moment in our quiet living room that we finally decided to fight back. The day our son, Oliver, was born at St. David's Medical Center was the most terrifying and beautiful day of my life. All the noise, all the drama with Jessica, it all faded into the background hum of the heart monitor. There was only me, Liam, and the tiny, perfect person who had just entered the world. Liam cut the cord, his eyes shining with tears. He looked at me with a love so pure and powerful it felt like it could heal anything. When the nurse placed Oliver in my arms, I knew with a certainty that reached into my soul that I would tear down the world for him. This was my family, and no one was ever going to threaten it again. The first few weeks were a blur of sleepless nights and overwhelming love. We kept our bunker intact. We sent out a simple birth announcement to a handful of trusted friends and family, with a firm note that we were not accepting visitors and asked that no photos be shared online. This was our time. It was also the quiet before the storm. During late-night feedings, while Liam and Oliver slept, I began to plan. My freelance design work had trained me to be meticulous, organized, and strategic. I applied those skills to dismantling my cousin's life. My war room was my laptop. My weapons were screenshots and a relentless cold fury. I created a secure folder on a cloud drive. Into it went everything. A screenshot of Jessica's crocodile tear Instagram post. Screenshots of the hateful DMs from her followers. I even had a friend who still followed her send me screenshots of her vaguely accusatory posts about family struggles and hidden truths. I documented the dates, the times, the number of likes. I was no longer a victim of her narrative. I was its archivist. Liam's part of the plan was crucial. He reached out to his cousin Mark, a lawyer in Dallas. We didn't want to sue, not yet. We wanted information. Mark explained how to build a case for defamation and libel, what kind of evidence was admissible and what wasn't. The most important thing, he said, was irrefutable proof of the truth. Which brought us to the centerpiece of my plan. The day Oliver was 6 weeks old, I made an appointment with a lab that specialized in AABB-certified DNA testing. It was a simple, painless process. A technician came to our house. She took a cheek swab from me, from Liam, and gently from a sleeping Oliver. She verified our IDs, sealed the samples in a tamper-proof evidence bag, and had us all sign the chain of custody paperwork. It felt cold, clinical, and profoundly sad that we had to medically prove our own family, but it was also empowering. This was our truth, sealed in an envelope. While we waited for the results, I delved deeper into Jessica's online empire. I wasn't just looking at her posts. I was studying her business. I identified her top 3 brand sponsors: an organic baby food company called Sunstone Organics, a boutique clothing line for children called Willow Creek Kids, and a popular Christian-themed home decor brand, Hearth and Grace. Their brands were built on the same foundation as Jessica's: authenticity, family values, and trust. They were paying her to be the embodiment of their ideals. Her family-first persona wasn't just a personality trait. It was a commodity built on the lie that was destroying my own family. I read their corporate mission statements. I looked up their CEOs on LinkedIn. I bookmarked their PR contact pages. I was gathering my targets. The email with the DNA results arrived on a Tuesday morning. I saw the subject line, LabCorp paternity test results, case W7345B, and my hand trembled as I clicked it open. I called Liam into my home office. We stood side by side, looking at the screen. The PDF document was stark, full of scientific jargon, but the conclusion at the bottom was perfectly clear. The alleged father, Liam J. Peterson, cannot be excluded as the biological father of the child, Oliver M. Peterson. The probability of paternity is 99.9997%. A wave of relief so intense it almost brought me to my knees washed over me. I hadn't realized how much of that poison I had internalized, how a tiny sliver of my subconscious had been terrified that this whole nightmare was somehow cosmically real. But here it was. The truth. In black and white. "That's it, then," Liam said, his voice thick with emotion. He wrapped his arms around me, burying his face in my hair. "That's the bullet for our gun." I saved the PDF to my secure folder. The arsenal was now complete. All that was left was to choose the time and place for the battle. I watched Jessica's social media like a hawk. She was ramping up for a big live event, a Q&A with her followers that she was co-hosting with a well-known family values blogger. The theme was building a legacy of trust. The irony was so thick it was suffocating. The event was scheduled for the following Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. Thousands would be watching. Her sponsors would be watching. Our family would be watching. It was perfect. It was the stage she had built for herself, and I was going to use it as her gallows. For the next week, I worked on my own post. I wrote and rewrote the caption, stripping it of emotion, leaving only cold, hard facts. I edited the photos and documents, highlighting the key information. This wouldn't be a messy, emotional tirade. It would be a calm, methodical, and utterly devastating execution. I was done crying. I was done hiding. I was ready to go to war. The day of the reckoning felt strangely calm. A heavy stillness had settled over our house, the kind of quiet that comes before a storm. Oliver was napping peacefully in his bassinet, oblivious. Liam had taken the day off work. He didn't hover, but he was a constant grounding presence. He made me lunch, which I couldn't eat. He refilled my water glass. We moved around each other in a silent dance of shared purpose. We were a unit, forged stronger than ever in the crucible of Jessica's lies. At 6:45 p.m., I sat down at my desk, my laptop open. On one side of the screen, I had Jessica's Instagram page pulled up, waiting for her to go live. On the other, I had my own profile, the post loaded and ready. It was a simple carousel. The first image was a photo. One Liam had taken a few days prior. It was a beautiful, sun-drenched shot of the 3 of us on a blanket in our backyard. Liam was looking at Oliver with overwhelming adoration. I was looking at Liam, a genuine, unguarded smile on my face. It was a picture of pure, unassailable happiness. It was everything Jessica had tried to shatter. The second image was a crisp, high-resolution screenshot of the DNA test results. I had used a simple editing tool to draw a bold red box around the conclusion, probability of paternity, 99.9997%. The third, fourth, and fifth images were the receipts. A screenshot of Jessica's vague, heartbroken Instagram post from the day after the shower. A screenshot of a particularly vile DM I'd received from one of her followers telling me to Give that baby back to its real father. And finally, a screenshot of a text message my sister had forwarded me from our aunt, quoting Jessica, "I have proof. Chloe is still in love with her ex. Liam is a fool." The caption was the final piece, my closing argument. I had stripped it down to its most potent, factual form. It read, "For the past 4 months, my husband, my son, and I have been the subjects of a vicious, calculated rumor campaign designed to destroy our family. This campaign was started and fueled by my cousin, Jessica Miller. She used a private family celebration to publicly accuse me of infidelity and claim my son was not my husband's child. She then used her public platform to cultivate a false narrative of our family's struggle, farming sympathy and engagement from our pain. She lied to our family, claiming she had proof. Today, the truth gets its turn. Attached is a legally certified 99.9997% confirmation that my husband, Liam, is my son's father. Also attached are just a few examples of the lies and the hatred that were directed at us, all stemming from her actions. To her followers, I ask you to consider the authenticity you so admire. To our family, I hope this truth is loud enough. To my husband, I love you. To my son, I will always, always protect you. And to Jessica, the truth is now public. May it give you everything you deserve." The final surgical strike was the tags. I tagged Jessica's personal account. I tagged the blogger she was co-hosting with. And then, one by one, I tagged her sponsors: A Sunstone Organics, Willow Creek Kids, Hearth and Grace. I added a final line directly addressing them. In Sunstone Organics, A Willow Creek Kids, A Hearth and Grace, is this the kind of family values your brands want to be associated with? At 7:01 p.m., Jessica's profile picture lit up with the vibrant pink ring indicating she was live. I clicked it. Her face filled my screen, professionally lit and flawlessly made up. She was smiling, greeting her co-host, welcoming her beautiful community. The viewer count was already climbing past 5,000. Liam came and stood behind me, his hands on my shoulders. "Ready?" he whispered. I took a deep breath. "Ready?" I hit share, and then we watched. For the first few minutes, nothing happened. Jessica and the other blogger chatted about the importance of honesty in family relationships. The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. Then the first comment about my post appeared in the live feed. "Jessica, what is this post from your cousin Chloe?" Jessica didn't see it. The comments were flying too fast. But then there was another. And another? DNA test? Did you really lie about a baby? Chloe Peterson just exposed you. Suddenly, the entire comment feed was a waterfall of my name. The co-host, a woman with a deer-in-the-headlights expression, saw it first. She tried to subtly get Jessica's attention. Jessica, there are a lot of comments coming in about a personal matter." Jessica's smile tightened. "Oh, let's try to stay on topic, everyone," she said, her voice a little too bright. But she couldn't ignore it. The comments were relentless. "Exposed. Liar. Check Chloe's post." Her eyes darted off-screen, presumably to another device. I watched her face as she read my post in real time. The mask didn't just crack, it disintegrated. The color drained from her cheeks. Her practiced, compassionate smile melted into a slack-jawed horror. She was naked, exposed in front of thousands, the carefully constructed walls of her righteous persona crumbling around her in a digital avalanche. I, she stammered, looking at the camera, her eyes wide with panic. "This is a private family matter that is being deliberately misrepresented to hurt me." It was weak, pathetic. No one was buying it. The comment section turned feral. "Misrepresented? She posted the DNA test. You're a monster. Sponsors, are you seeing this?" The co-host muttered something about technical difficulties. Jessica just stared, speechless as her empire burned. After a torturous 30 seconds of dead air, she lunged for the screen and the live feed abruptly ended. The screen went black. Liam squeezed my shoulders. "It's done," he said softly. I clicked over to my own post. The numbers were staggering. The likes were pouring in by the hundreds. The comments were overwhelmingly supportive. Friends, family members who had stayed silent, and complete strangers were rallying to our side. But my focus was on the brand accounts. 10 minutes after my post went live, the first one fell. Willow Creek Kids deleted all their sponsored posts featuring Jessica. Then they posted a story. "We are aware of the disturbing situation involving Jessica Miller. We do not condone bullying or malicious dishonesty in any form. We have terminated our partnership, effective immediately. Sunstone Organics was next, a more corporate statement about their commitment to positive family values. Hearth and Grace, her biggest partner, was the last to fall, and they fell the hardest, issuing a full grid post, apologizing to their community for their error in judgment in partnering with her. By the end of the night, her career was in ashes. But it was the exodus of her followers that was the most satisfying. I refreshed her page and watched the number plummet. 80K, 75K, 60K. People weren't just unfollowing. They were leaving comments expressing their disgust on her last post before they left. I believed you. You used your platform to abuse your family. You are the definition of fake. Each unfollow felt like a small measure of justice. Each comment was a vindication. She hadn't just lost a brand deal. She had lost her currency. Her credibility, her authenticity, her carefully crafted illusion, all gone. She had built her identity on a foundation of lies, and I had simply shown everyone the truth of its construction. And they had done the rest. In the days that followed my post, a new kind of silence descended, but this one was peaceful. The hateful DMs stopped. The whispers ceased. The truth, it turned out, was louder than any lie. My phone, once a source of anxiety, now buzzed with a different kind of message. Apologies. Tentative texts from aunts, uncles, and cousins who had sided with Jessica, all offering variations of "I'm so sorry. I never should have doubted you." I read them, one by one, and felt nothing. Not anger, not even satisfaction. Just a quiet, hollow emptiness. Their validation had come too late. They hadn't believed me. They had believed a lab report. Liam and I discussed it at length. We decided who was worth forgiving and who had shown their true colors so vividly that they no longer deserved a place in our lives, or more importantly, in Oliver's life. Family, we learned, isn't just about blood. It's about trust. And the trust with many of them was irrevocably broken. Jessica disappeared. She wiped her Instagram account clean, deleting every post, every story, every last vestige of the perfect life she had curated. Her profile picture was replaced with the default gray avatar. Her 80,000 followers dwindled to a few thousand bots and hate watchers. Her online kingdom had vanished as if it had never existed. My aunt, her mother, sent me a long, rambling email that was equal parts accusation and desperate plea. She accused me of being cruel, of ruining Jessica's life over a simple misunderstanding. She begged me to take the post down, to think of the family. I typed a single sentence in reply. She built the fire. I just held up a mirror. Then I blocked her email address. I heard through the family grapevine that Jessica had moved to another state, unable to face the fallout in Austin. She had lost everything: her career, her reputation, and the respect of what was left of her family. She had become a ghost, a cautionary tale whispered at holiday gatherings. Life found a new, quieter rhythm. Oliver grew, and his first smile, his first laugh, filled the spaces in our home that had once been occupied by stress and anger. Our little bunker became a sanctuary again, a home filled with light and love. We reconnected with Liam's parents, and the joy on Helen's face when she held her grandson for the first time was a healing balm. The wounds were there, but they were beginning to scar over. We were a smaller family now, but a stronger one, forged in fire and bound by a truth we had fought for. Sometimes, late at night, when I'm rocking Oliver to sleep in the quiet dark of the nursery, I think about Jessica. I don't feel hatred anymore. I just feel a profound, chilling pity. She had been so desperate to be the main character in a beautiful story that she failed to see the beautiful one she could have had. She could have been the cool, beloved cousin. She could have held my son and been his Auntie Jess. She had a place in our family, a real one, not a curated one. And she burned it all down for a handful of likes from strangers. One evening, I was scrolling through old photos on my phone, looking for a baby picture of myself to compare with Oliver. I stumbled across a photo from a family reunion years ago. It was me and Jessica, teenagers, our arms thrown around each other, grinning for the camera. We looked happy, carefree. For a moment, a pang of sorrow hit me for the girl she used to be, for the relationship we had lost. Then I swiped to the next photo, the picture of the DNA results. The stark, undeniable black and white truth. I stared at it for a long moment, then deleted the old photo of us. It was a past that no longer existed. My family was here in this house, safe and whole. I had done what I had to do. She tried to make my son a question, but I turned her entire life into the answer. The end.